Super excited to talk to our guy, Jordan Palmer here, renowned quarterbacks coach, Jordan Palmer. We're talking about a guy who works with Josh Allen, Joe Burrow every offseason, and kind of a cool situation because Jordan and I happened to be having dinner a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about the CU quarterback, Julian Lewis. And then, I was kind of just telling him about what we do and things of that nature and how I also cover the Broncos. And he's like, man, you're going to be talking about Julian Lewis and Bo Nix. You're going to be having a lot of fun talking about those guys for the next few years. So, Jordan, welcome to the show, man. Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. I'm glad to be here. Can you guys hear me okay and everything? Sorry, I was jumping on a little late.
Oh, yeah, we hear you great. So, what is it about Bo Nix that has you so excited about his future in Denver?
Well, I mean, it's a hot start, so there's not that many rookies who play great and lead their team to the playoffs their first year. I don't care who the receivers are, head coach, what defense they inherited. It's just like it doesn't happen that often, and it's a hot start. But I go way back with Bo. I go back to high school with Bo. I was the offensive coordinator on his Elite 11 team when he went all the way to the championship game and barely lost to Spencer Rattler and lost the MVP to Spencer Rattler as a high school kid. And it was funny. It was in Dallas. It was at the Cowboys facility. And I had a longtime friend, Andy Dalton, I knew lived down the street. And I said, hey, I got this kid on my team. And actually, Jaden Daniels was the backup for that game. And I said, I got this awesome high school kid. You got to come spend, we're going to have a little playoff run on Saturday and come and bring your sons and all that stuff. And so it was cool to even just have at the time the starting quarterback for the Bengals there, watching going, dude, I like this kid. This guy's really good, man. And then to watch him know what it was going into Auburn, which it's all well documented. He was an Auburn fan as a kid. His dad played there. The expectations and hype. He won a state championship in the state of Alabama. His dad's a high school football coach. It was just like a more regional version of Arch Manning, I think, because regionally it was the same amount of hype and expectations from the fan base that Arch has, I would say, nationally. But it was the same deal. When you're a high school or freshman in college, like you don't necessarily pay attention to the national media. You care about what you're hearing 24/7 all day, every day. And I just watched him with all that hype come in and struggle. And looking back on it, and I just spent 2 years training Jarrett Stidham at Auburn, insert Bo Nix. So I was very familiar with Auburn, with Gus Malzahn, the offense they were running, the players, and I knew what they were asking the quarterbacks to do there. And I just thought he was set up to fail. And at Auburn, he'd have mirrored routes with no check down. And it was like they're dropping 8. And then I'd watch the TV copy and they're sitting there saying Bo Nix is holding on to the ball too long. And then that creates the narrative and the fans. And I just watched this kid, this young man with these unrealistic expectations, with a situation that was not set up for success, handle all of that really well. And never throw blame and never even vent to me or anybody else, his girlfriend, now wife. Like he just didn't do that. He was never a victim. He just approached every offseason the way that a lot of my NFL vets at that time were approaching the offseason, which is reset, rebuild, start from scratch, get better, find ways to improve. And so when it came time for him to go to Oregon, I was just not surprised by the success that he had there because he was not set up to fail. He was set up to succeed. And so for him to do that and then enter the league with all the starts that he had, which was the most at that time, so a lot of experience, the age, and just how centered he is in his faith, how grounded he is in his family, all the fake stuff in news and media, he doesn't see that as truth. It's all just noise. And so I just think all of those things, I haven't said a word about his physical traits yet, but all of those things I just think set young quarterbacks up for success. And if you want to talk physical traits, he's going to be right there with some of the most impressive people in the NFL.
Jordan, this is awesome insight. And some of the noise that we've heard this week came from the Titans locker room. Jeffrey Simmons essentially said that Bo Nix is a one-read guy, and then he takes off and runs. Sean Payton disagreed with that. We disagree with that. You know him maybe better than anyone, especially from a quarterback perspective. Do you also find that not accurate?
No, I don't find that accurate. There's nobody playing on Sundays who can't get to number 2 in a progression. I mean, you're just the other guy's going to go in. So no, I don't think that's true at all. And I think quarterbacks get really good at what they have to do to survive. Right? They're survivalists. And until you get to the point where you can thrive, where you feel like every day is going to be a great day, every game you're going to go off. And so if you're a runner, and you've gotten away with that, and that's what you need to do to survive, you're going to run. But let's flip it to Peyton Manning at the end. Okay, playing for you guys, right? Well, he couldn't really move, and he couldn't get a whole lot of juice on the ball. So what did he have to do to survive? He had to make sure pre-snap he got them in the perfect play versus that look, right? And so I just think whether you're at the front of your career or the end of your career, you got to do what it takes to survive, and for whatever your deficiencies are. And every rookie at least has this as a common denominator deficiency: experience. They haven't seen all these coverages and pressures and looks and things that are designed. They like this defensive coordinator, when you're playing a rookie who's a high pick, they might have drawn this thing up that they're going to use week 11 versus the rookie when they get him. So you haven't seen that on tape. They've been sitting on it. They've been saving it for you. And so every rookie deals with that. And I've had a lot of clients that struggled. People forget Josh Allen had a hard first 2 years, statistically and just winning and playing well. Because it takes a sec. And again, that's why I say not that many rookies play really well their rookie year and lead their team to the playoffs. And I'm drinking the Kool-Aid because I'm a massive Jarrett Stidham fan. But Bo had to win the job too. Mm-hmm. They didn't name him the starter on draft night. He had to beat out a really good quarterback in Jarrett Stidham. I don't think Broncos fans understand how good Jarrett is. The only time he's played really well. And so Bo Nix's season, his rookie year, did not start at the draft, and it did not start week 1. He had to beat out a savvy veteran for 4 months to earn the starting job, which is just, all of these things are just great ways to start your career, to have to go through these things and develop. And so when you do that, and then you get a long off season, and you approach the off season, like I said earlier, the way that he does, then I think you're set up for a major leap forward your sophomore year instead of some of the step backs that we've seen in the past.
When I look back at Bo as a rookie, I think the biggest area where I think he could take a step forward is against the blitz, because the numbers against the blitz last year weren't very good. I'm not sure why that was, but I think it was something out of like the 36 quarterbacks who had the most snaps. He was 32nd when blitzed. Is that what you look at as where the next step is, and how does a young quarterback go about getting better in that particular situation?
Well, I have an interesting take on this. I don't know that I've heard anybody talk about it like this before. It is easy to say Bo Nix is the 32nd, I'm going off your numbers, the 32nd guy in the NFL against the blitz. So he needs to improve. He needs to get better, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, when you're talking about pressure, there's the entire offense plays a role in this. The offensive line plays a role in this, but not just blocking. The offensive line plays a role in this from a communication perspective of how they can deal with different looks. The running backs and tight ends, when they're either involved in protection or they're involved in the route. They're not doing, there is none of the above option there, right? And then the receivers, they got to run the route, they got to catch the ball, but also, are they doing side adjusts? Are they adjusting versus pressure? And here's the thing that I think's unique about my answer is that's not all, that's on the offense, it's on everybody, but a rookie quarterback, put talent and ability and confidence and arm strength, put all that to the side. You're not going to have as much in your protection plan and as many answers with a new quarterback as you are with an old quarterback. So let's say that everybody on this panel agrees that Bo Nix last year is better than Joe Flacco last year. Okay, there's like a good comp, right? Like as a legend, Super Bowl MVP, all that stuff. But let's say like most people would go, oh yeah, I'll take Bo Nix over Joe Flacco. Okay, cool. But there's no way that Bo Nix is going to have an offense with Bo Nix playing quarterback is going to have as many protection answers as an offense with Joe Flacco, purely off of experience and understanding how to do those things. So typically, and I don't know what they did, but typically the center is going to make the identification for the protection, and the quarterback's going to ride with it when you have a young guy. Let's take one less thing off of his plate. Well, Bo Nix is the type of kid where if they did that his first year, I doubt they do that his second year. I bet Bo gets to weigh in on that. So it's not about being good or bad. It's about having more answers. And I've dealt with so many quarterbacks. Some of them are really smart. Some of them are not very smart. Okay. But I don't always think that you can score somebody's how smart they are off of their intelligence level. Part of that is also exposure. So here's an example. You could take a highly intelligent quarterback and you can have him run a Mickey Mouse high school offense in high school, and then one of these spread bubble screen heavy offenses in college, and put up numbers and come to me for draft prep, and he could seem dumb. Is he dumb, or has he been exposed to good, highly, high intelligence level offense? So a lot of this is exposure. And I've had guys who have really struggled to learn, that have been exposed to high levels of football, that don't come across as dumb at all. They seem like they know what they're talking about. Well, because they've been exposed. And so that's where you get a good young quarterback and a great head coach like Sean Payton, a great offensive head coach like Sean Payton. And I go, his exposure level just went up by 18 games. And so I would expect a big jump. I bet that number goes from 32 to 9 or something. And it's not because Bo Nix watched a lot of tape this offseason and learned all the pressure. That's a part of it, but I think they're able to do more. They're able to have more answers. And I don't know. Save that. I bet he ends up around 9.
I love it. This is great insight, man. Before we let you go, I got one more for you. So Sean Payton this offseason said within 2 years, Bo Nix will be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I think everyone is pretty much in agreement about who the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL are, and you're someone who works closely with 2 of them. I'm curious what you think is the gap that Bo has to do to close to get closer to that top 4, top 5 group.
Well, I struggle with the ranking thing, especially this week. Everybody telling me how the season's going to go for everybody. I got some friends who are really smart. I mean, Dan Orlovsky's really smart. I just go, okay. So I don't know if he ends up top 5 because I don't know how you rank it. You know what I mean? My greatest quarterback of all time I measure it differently than everybody else. It ain't Tom Brady. And so, for how to get him in consideration for being one of the last quarterbacks you want to play against. This comes down to and Patrick Mahomes has proven this right now. This just comes down to how well you play in the biggest games of the year. Because Mahomes' stats the last couple of years are unimpressive. They're 19, he's 16th in this, he's 14th in this. Yeah, but you don't want to play him in January? And so that's I think where it comes down to. And then really on the in-game, aside from winning the big games, just like stats and all that stuff, Bo has an opportunity. There's a lot of guys that are mobile, quarterbacks that can run around and mobile. They can create time and space, and that's valuable. And then there's guys who can attack. And I think Bo is athletic. He's very underrated as an athlete. And he can attack. He can be the reason their offense did what they did that day because of the 3 or 4 big runs that he ripped off. And so I think that the emergence of that. And if you look at, I just did a piece of content on this on my social. If you look at all of the plays, let's say concepts, in the NFL. This is true. I think it's true in college too. I just know it's true in the NFL, statistically speaking. And you took all the plays. So let's say drive is a common concept that's in every playbook. Let's say 4 verticals, 4 guys going deep. That's in every playbook, including my 3rd and 4th grade Bills flag playbook. And so let's say you took every concept and you categorized them and you ranked them. What are the best ones league wide across the NFL? You get the 3 concepts that get ran the most would be the best ones, right? But if you add in one category and you add in a broken play, so a drop back pass that turns into the quarterback leaving the pocket, statistically speaking, that's the best play in the NFL. A busted play, one that didn't start off right. It's the highest touchdown to interception ratio, it's the highest yards per attempt, and it's the highest completion percentage. And that's league wide, so that's every quarterback. That's not specific to fast guys or good guys or anything like that. And so if you look at it and you go, that's the best play, and we get good at that. Our receivers get good at coming back to the window. Our O-linemen get good at blocking. And when they feel like Bo Nix leaves the pocket, they don't hold that extra second and get a big play called back for a 10-yard penalty. If you get good as an offense in that, then I think Bo has a chance, like we've seen Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, the other guys that are probably in that top 5 that you talk about, Joe Burrow, do that. Then I think Bo has an opportunity to be that type of player. And so if you win the big games and you capitalize on those plays and continue to progress the way that he has, then yeah, I think the people that rank him and put up their top 5 at some point are going to start saying his name and subbing out some names they have been saying.
Love it, man. Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Incredible.
Before you go, where can people find you? I know we talked when we were having dinner about some really cool content that you have coming soon. So where can people check some of your stuff out?
Yeah, it's just Jordan Palmer, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And then I've got an online platform, Summit U. So young quarterbacks, parents of quarterbacks. It's an online program. I basically take everything that I'm doing with my college and NFL quarterbacks, and instead of being on the field and coaching them, I always have a mic on and we're always shooting. And I'm just taking the things that we're literally doing with the best players and making it accessible online. And then the last thing I would say is we just had 12 months of business on a nutrition company I launched, a nutrition company specifically designed for athletes going through puberty. Crazy. When we started the company, we looked around, there was not a single company that designed products for athletes with developing bodies. And so Thread Performance at threadperformance.com, we are 1 year into business and it is a rocket ship. And it's because there's a need. And so I spend the majority of my time with quarterbacks and then also have been able to create a great solution for parents. They're trying to figure out what to feed their kids when they're 8, 9, 10, 14, 16, 18. We've got a couple of great products and some new products coming out in September as well.
Awesome, man. Again, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.